All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Something Up My Sleeve, where we interview magicians and ask the question, what is something up your sleeve? What do you bring to the table? What makes you you, and why are you known now in the world of magic? And building to the huge convention we're having in Pittsburgh, I thought it'd be great to interview one of our last contest winners who really took almost everything you could at the last convention in Atlanta. She claimed so many prizes at a very young age, which makes guys like me extremely jealous because like those are shiny, beautiful trophies and well earned. Everyone absolutely loved her act. We're going to talk more about that and what she's up to now. Please welcome to Something Up My Sleeve, Anja Steyn.
Hello there.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm glad we were able to connect. And first of all, tell everybody, where is it that we're talking to you from?
So I am in Cape Town, South Africa.
First off, it's amazing. It's amazing, like, that we live in this age. I know for you, you probably haven't known anything. I remember when we didn't have cell phones, and the fact that I'm talking to you right now and you're in South Africa is still pretty amazing, and you're coming in clear as a bell. That's beautiful. And how old are you?
I am 15 years old.
15 years old, and I've already put away many of the first place prizes, including when I first saw you in Atlanta last year. Before we get into that, though, I have to ask you the question I ask all my guests: what is something up your sleeve? What makes you you? What do you bring to the table?
So, I like to think that I'm original, but what I bring to the table is a lot of my acts. I take the more classic magic effects and I modernize them and put like a modern twist on them. Like my close-up act with the cups and balls, it's this whole routine where we go through the eras. We start in like the 1800s, then we go to the 1950s, and then my version of it, the 2020s, which is I use ice cubes and plastic cups, and I do it to the song Ice Ice Baby. So, yeah, very modern. And
which, well, you know, Ice Ice Baby may not be considered that modern anymore, but that is something that grabs my attention because that's from my generation. So, yeah, actually before your time. It's not a 2020 song by any means, but I'm so glad you know it because I remember jamming to that song on many car rides when I was probably about your age, actually. So perfect. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions about competitions, but let's get an idea of what you do with this quick highlights reel and show everybody what you're about.
3, 2, are you ready?
Lovely. Wow, great upbeat. I think anybody could tell right away that you're dynamic in your presentation. I think even that 30 seconds makes you want to see more. Now, one question is, all those illusions behind the one you're performing, do you do all of those?
Unfortunately not. So
okay.
That was a short clip from a show the College of Magic did. Now, the College of Magic is a magic school here in Cape Town where kids from the age of 9 through 17, I'm pretty sure, they go there, and there's 7 years, and you study there, and you go through all these courses, and you learn a bunch of cool magic tricks. Now, the senior students, which I'm one of the senior students, we usually get to perform in these big shows. Now, that was a show we did in January. It was a fundraiser, and everyone, they get about 5 to 10 minutes and they perform an illusion or do an act. So that was the second part of my act I did. The first part was my IBM stage act, the hospitality, but that's the second part of the act. So at Atlanta, I did it as a one-man, but it's actually a two-man thing. I have like this whole bit with an assistant, and I'm kind of this cocky, arrogant pitchman, and I'm throwing things everywhere, and they have to run around and catch everything. And then at the end, I told them to get in the box, and then I squished them.
Nice. And that's in Western Cape. Would you
Yes.
say then there's really good encouraging programs for youth where you are in Magic?
Well, that's where it gets difficult, because the College of Magic is really the only thing that is not only in the Western Cape but in South Africa. Magic is not a very big thing here, and it's very difficult to find other magicians here. Most other magicians I know are from America or overseas, and yeah, it's really sad because it's the only thing here, and it's only for kids. Because once you're 19, then you can't be a student there anymore. Then you have to teach, and there aren't really a lot of magic rings here, unfortunately.
So let's talk about your beginning then, especially because that you're in a place that's very different, very far from a lot of the international conventions where they're held. So how did you get your start in Magic, and why such an unusual craft?
So it was my dad, actually. From a very young age, he's always liked magic, and he's kind of been a hobbyist, and he's also always loved building illusions and building props. So I was kind of always exposed to that, and then he heard about the College of Magic, and then he signed me up when I was 9 or 10, and that's kind of how it started. And
Wonderful.
then I just immediately fell in love with it, something I never knew I liked, because I used to be extremely introverted, extremely shy. I couldn't even talk to someone. But the second I got into magic and got a way to express myself in a different way, once I was put up on that stage, I was in my comfort zone. And it's really helped me get out of my shell. It's helped me with my people skills, social skills, and just feeling more confident. So it's really amazing.
Glad you brought that up, because I was actually going to get into that in a moment. I'll show a clip that's actually from your competition in Atlanta. And I was going to tell you, since I have the privilege of being the one to interview you, that I want to give you my compliments on your act. Confidence is the main thing that I gathered from that. I feel like if we went backstage and sabotaged your rig, like just destroyed all your stuff so you couldn't perform with it, and then said, here's a piece of rope, you would have still been able to go on stage with absolute confidence. And I believe that it didn't really matter what effect you were doing. I think that that's what shines through, and that we have so much conviction that you know exactly what you're doing, that you know your art, and it's an amazing confidence to see from someone at such a young age.
Thank you so much. That's an amazing compliment. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So now the challenge is how you're going to stay humble, with all your awards and everything. So I want to go back over what awards, because you were also given some special awards. So before I show this clip, what did you win in Atlanta?
So I won the youth stage contest, the youth close-up contest, and then I also got the Adele Friel Rhine Dress Award for advancing the art and history of magic.
That is beautiful. Have you ever had a chance to meet her?
No.
Oh, I hope you get a chance to meet her. She is just an unbelievable human being. She actually sends me a text for my birthday every year. She always remembers people's special events. She's always checking on people. When a hurricane hits New Orleans, she calls to check on me, make sure I'm okay. She gave me a signed copy of her book. Definitely do some research into her background and her history. Amazing story, and just an amazing person. So I hope that she's in attendance sometime when you're at a convention and you get to meet her. That's wonderful that you won her award.
I really want to get to meet her. I've heard the stories, and she seems so nice, and it'd be amazing if I got to meet her.
Well, when is your next do you know when you're attending another convention?
This year. I'm gonna be in Pittsburgh this year.
Pittsburgh, awesome. Okay, I don't know if she's attending, but I'm gonna try to encourage her to do that, to make sure we can make that connection. Great. So let's show this clip, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let me pull this one up here. That is share screen. Sound is on. Here we are. Believe in magic. Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about that act. If I remember correctly, everything rhymed.
Yes.
So you were not only doing poetry, but the entire act is like a sales pitch, like you're doing an ad for this product. Yes.
Yes.
And the original name, what is the name of that effect?
Think a drink. So okay,
Think,
so
yeah,
sorry,
think a drink.
the act's called Think a Drink, but it's hospitality.
And
So
so, because you're combining several, it's not just Think a Drink, but we also have Airborne involved in there. You've got the Vanishing Bottle, a lot that flows so well together. So, can you talk a little bit about the creative process there of the writing of that? How did you decide on that one? Because that's a pretty big rig to be able to cart around, especially overseas, right?
yeah. So the whole routine, it was actually for another show the College of Magic did last year in June, the big show. So there's this big theater here called the Artscape, and the College of Magic does their annual show there. And that was that's the act they wanted me to do. And I already started working on it all the way back in February, I think it was. And I did have someone help a little bit with the script, but it was just this whole process of how many people were there? I think there were about 5 or 6 people. We were coming together every week and just brainstorming this big idea because we know we wanted a sales pitch and hospitality, but we didn't really know what we were going to do. And then we decided, okay, let's make it a 2-man act, and I can kind of be this arrogant, cocky pitchman, and then I can have this assistant running around, and it's going to be this whole dynamic between the two of us. The one that just doesn't stop talking and just, this is the most amazing product, you need this in your life, and my poor assistant who's just running around trying to catch everything that's flying. And it's a really nice dynamic, and I got a lot of positive feedback from the audience. Everyone says they really like the dynamic, so that always makes you feel very, very good about your act when the audience says they like it.
Of course. Well, I mean, I guess that's the point, is that's who counts, right? That's who we're trying to impress and
Yeah.
entertain. And you got some amazing feedback from Atlanta. We were all extremely impressed. Which it took a while for us to connect, but I think I called you pretty much right after and said, I've got to bring you in the show. We've got to talk about your win. So what is next as far as competition? I'm sure a lot of people have talked to you about FISM.
So hopefully one day, that isn't something that's in my mind just yet, but hopefully one day I'll be able to get there. For now, I just want to kind of broaden my area of expertise, because I mostly do parlor magic. I haven't really delved into other things. I've here and there I've done a little close-up act or a mentalism act, but I really want to do more things, really get into more stage illusions, more mentalism, and then hopefully I can get into FISM once I have an act that I'm confident in and that's good enough. But at the moment,
you've got time. You've got plenty of time. There's no rush. You have time. Your hair's not gray yet. It's still purple. So you've got plenty of time. And I know it, having done competitions, I know how tough it can be to spend the money on travel, to cart all your stuff around, to try to the timing of the schedule. So I'm glad that I'll see you in Pittsburgh for sure. The next qualifier for FISM is going to be in Dallas. Here is going to be in Dallas of next year at the SAM convention in Dallas. But I'm assuming you can probably go other places to qualify and whatnot.
Yes.
Because you don't have to necessarily qualify here.
Yeah, the College of Magic is also FISM affiliated.
Oh, very nice.
That they have. So we have this thing called the South African Championships, and basically, if you're good enough there, they can. The president can give you the letter, and you can go to FISM. But of course, that's if your act's really good, and because FISM is the standards are up here.
Well, of course. Well, as well they should be. You didn't get to go to the Quebec, did you?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, there was like 3,000 people, so it was very possible you were there, and I missed you. But yeah, incredible experience. And I would recommend, since you are wise enough to know that you can take your time, if you're able to attend one of the FISMs, I think that would be a great experience and a learning experience for you as you prepare your act and figure out what you're going to do. I really wish I had had that opportunity because I feel like I learned so much there about what to do, what not to do. But by the time you get there, if you're competing, it's too late to change your act. You know, it's too late to make those kind of huge adjustments. And so I think that would be a great experience for you. Of course, the next one is in Italy, which actually is closer to you than over here, I guess. So maybe look at, and you have a little time to prepare. You
Just
can
up
look
all
at
the way.
just straight up,
Basically, yeah.
hop in a car and just drive straight up, straight north, and you should be fine. You'll be able to find it. So yeah, that would be really cool. I think it'd be and there's so much to see. You can't see everything, especially you're trying to catch all of the competition, but then there's like midnight lectures and stuff happening early in the morning. And it's like, when there's no time to sleep, when do they schedule sleep time? You know, how are you supposed to be refreshed? You're like falling asleep in the middle of a lecture because there's just so much to do and so much going on. And when you're competing, you're nervous about that. So it's great to be able to attend one so that you can actually appreciate everything else, and you're not constantly like in your room rehearsing or trying to figure out where you're supposed to be, you know, get that off of your mind. Now you have something really cool going with Phantasma.
Yes. So, Roger Dreyer, the owner of Phantasma Magic and Phantasma Toys, he reached out to me and he asked me if I would like to demonstrate their products. So he sends me their magic kits, and then I create short little videos where I'm demonstrating the products, and then I send him the videos, and then I promote him and he promotes me. So it's kind of I don't know what you would call it. He sometimes calls me Phantasma's demonstrator, but
A collaborative effort, yeah.
Yeah.
Cross marketing, collaborative effort. And how long have you been doing that?
So since last year after I won the competition, so almost a year. So I'd say about 7-8 months now, and yeah, he's really amazing. Not only for everything that he's done for me, but just what he does for the IBM convention and the teams of the IBM convention. He's amazing. Like he gave us so. This is gonna sound bad, but he gave us so much free stuff last year, and it's amazing because it's this well-known guy, and he's so kind and humble and willing to share all that he knows with everyone. He's amazing.
And we see that we're needing more and more of that. Things have changed now in the sense that the camaraderie isn't as present. When I got started at your age, I would go once a month to the IBM meeting, and I was flooded with information. The age gap was maybe 30 years. The next guy older than me was probably in his 40s. And all of these wizards were just flooding me with information. And that was really the only way, that and books was the only way to learn. And part of, I guess, the sort of fear that we have now is that everybody's so hooked on like just watching YouTube videos that they don't really learn about the process. They don't really learn about showmanship, and they're not getting that camaraderie we used to have. So what would be your advice as a youth of Magic, and what do you think really sparks the interest of the youth? How do we overcome that? How do we grab people like you and go, you should love this?
I think if you get them, if you like expose very young kids to Magic, they're going to grow up loving it. But if they don't know it in their childhood, once they reach that teenager phase, 13 through 17, they don't like watching the Magic because they're like, oh, you're tricking me. Oh, now I don't like you, because they don't want to be tricked. But if they get to know it from a young age and they can appreciate the art form, then once they get to the teenager phase, they can still appreciate it and maybe even start doing Magic of their own. And I think that's how it starts. It has to start young. And on the social media point you brought up, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you can build up lots of connections with people all around the world, and it's so easy to find something. But that's also the bad thing. It's so easy to find something, and then there's all these people revealing the secrets, and then I don't want to say it takes the magic away, because the magic isn't really about the trick, it's about the message you leave the people with, but it does still take away from the entertainment value of it. And yeah, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because also these people on social media, because you have a limited amount of time, like on TikTok or Instagram or wherever you post it, it's these 10 to 20-second videos, and that's not nearly enough time to show a magic effect. You have to build it up, tell this whole story, take everyone on this journey, not just, is that your card? Okay, round of applause.
Not just do a trick.
Yeah.
I have a 10-second trick I'd like to show you, which I think is a great way to grab people's attention. You've seen the coin behind the ear. If I could just reach behind your ear and produce this, that's my appearing cat trick. And look at that, we just got 20 more viewers instantly because I have a cat on camera. Sorry, he loves being in front of the camera, so he's trying to steal your attention. He's jealous that I'm hanging out with you, but I usually let him make at least one appearance on the show. This is my cat Fitz Toulouse. Say hi, Fitzy. Yes,
Hi,
everybody loves cats. Yes, we know. Yes, you're a cutie pie. Now go play. All right. So thank you. I'm going to go back and quote you. That was a beautiful thing to say, that it's not about the trick, it's about the message. What a wise and beautiful thing to say. We're going to definitely quote you on that. I love that. Now let's go ahead and see a sample of what you're doing with Phantasma Magic. I have the video ready here. Here we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Anja, and today's fantastic Phantasma magic effect involves a deck of playing cards. Now, for this effect, we're going to need about roughly 10 black cards, like that, and about 10 red cards. And we can just put those all to the side. Now, I want everyone to remember this exact moment. 10 red cards, 10 black cards. Now, we're gonna just more or less mix these two piles and also give them a little shuffle. And lastly, a cut. And with a snap of our fingers and some fantastic Phantasma magic, remember that moment? The cards separated back to their original form. Keep doing some fantastic Phantasma magic.
Wow. I would have to pay closer attention, but I honestly don't even know what you did there. So you got me. I always think I know so much, and then even on my own talk show here, I get fooled. So I love that. I love that you have this now cross marketing opportunity going with Phantasma. That's wonderful. I assume you're still in school.
Yes.
So are you doing shows professionally? Are you booking yourself out as a performer other than what you're preparing for competitions and whatnot?
So not yet. This is my last year at the College of Magic, so I decided I'm just gonna finish that, and then from next year I'm gonna start doing kids' birthday parties, because that's a really in-demand thing here. Sure. Where I live. There's not a lot of people doing it, and most of the people doing it are, this is gonna sound bad, but older men. And that's my question. Would you book a 40-year-old man or a 17-year-old girl for your birthday party?
Are you asking me personally, or you mean if I had a kid?
If you had a kid.
I mean, either way, yeah, I definitely, that's an easy sell. Yes, I agree with you. And it just goes to show that we need more youth in magic. I think some people, I know some performers that are so excellent at performing for kids, that's the main thing they do, and what they should never give it up because they're amazing at it. But at the same time, you get that feeling that some of these performers, they're doing it just because that's where the work is, and they just never moved on to other things, and they probably would be happier letting somebody more young and vibrant be around these kids, because really we've talked about this on the show before, that it's a great source of learning improv, because guess what, for kids the show's never going to go as scripted, never going to go how you want. And
I've done a few kids shows, and oh my goodness, before going into it, I was like, it's easy. It's little kids. How difficult can it be?
right.
After doing 16 shows, ugh.
The good thing is, if you have experience working with young kids like that, then you'll be perfectly prepared for me to book you here in New Orleans, because then you'll know exactly how to deal with drunk adults. It's the same. If you can handle 4-year-olds, it's about the same. They just scream for no reason, try to touch your stuff, run across the stage. All of that happens here in New Orleans for the type of audiences I perform for. So it's going to be excellent training for you. You definitely seem to have a very practical and practical wisdom about you, as far as where you're headed with what you do. But what would you say? What are your aspirations for the future? Of where do you see yourself, let's say, 10 years from now as a performer?
10 years from now, hopefully, if I have to shoot for the stars, hopefully to have my own show in Vegas. That would be amazing. But honestly, just to have an audience and just to still be able to do magic in 10 years' time would also be amazing. If I can just get my name out there, get an audience, and be able to do what I love for a living, that would be... what more can you ask for?
Yeah, living the dream. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Vegas, so what shows have you submitted to? Some of the different shows that feature magicians, especially Fool Us, obviously, is one that films in Vegas, or any of the other shows that feature magicians?
No, it's only Fool Us that I've auditioned for. There haven't really been other opportunities. The only reason I was able to audition for Fool Us is because, what was it called? Let me get the name. It's somewhere here, but someone on Facebook, they did this thing for like female magicians to get on Fool Us. Did you see that post?
Yes. Oh, so was that
Yes.
recent then? You've recently submitted?
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
did
So
last month, yes.
perfect. So we'll find
I'm
out.
still waiting. I forgot
Yeah,
the
we'll
name
see
now.
if I did see that. I'm forgetting as well, but I did see the post, and that they specifically were looking for women to be on the show, which actually is that's something else I wanted to ask you, because I feel like you're going to have at your age, you'll have a very different perspective from, let's say, a female that would be my age performing in this industry, who's kind of gone through a few different decades of change. As a society and as a craft, we've become more accepting, or at least we should have become more accepting. But do you feel like we have reached that state of equality, or are there times that you feel you are treated different as a woman in magic, either by laymen, by professionals, by older magicians in competitions?
So I've been fortunate enough to not have any negative experiences. Everyone has treated me the same. Like, if I treat them with respect, they treat me with respect. My age and the fact that I'm a female hasn't impacted me in any way. But I do feel like there is still a little bit of an imbalance, especially with most of the magic gimmicks. Like, they're made for men, because usually when I'm performing, I don't have pockets.
Right. Like, just put it in your pants pocket. You're like, what pants? Yeah.
I'm wearing a dress, or I'm wearing a skirt, and they don't have pockets most of the time. Even my blazer I'm wearing right now, it doesn't have pockets. It's so weird.
You have to almost create your own wardrobe. I was just having that conversation with Meadow Perry. We were talking about some different effects, and I was like, well, can you just drop it in your jacket pocket? Not even thinking like, oh, she doesn't even have sleeves. Like, it is a very different situation. So Wow. Yeah. You almost have to create your own wardrobe.
Yeah, I have one experience with it. I was really struggling with it. So, in a show I did, I used the Fizzum Flash and I produced a rose. Now, usually, it just it goes in your like under your shoe, and you just press it with your toe. But I was wearing high heels, and I'm on my toes the whole time, so it'd be
Right.
triggering the whole time. So I had to
People
put
be
it
like,
on a-
"Who's taking pictures? What is this, a paparazzi here? What's happening?"
So I had to figure out a way to kind of put it on a reel, and I had to wear a long sleeve shirt underneath my dress, and there was a rubber band in the one sleeve, and it had to go in there. And once I produced the rose, it would be able to shoot in, and that rubber band was there so it doesn't fall out because it's a wire and it's not stretchy. And it was quite the challenge because you have to like open your sleeve, kind of wiggle it in there, close it up, and while you have a rose in the other hand. But if it was in your shoe, you just press it and you don't worry about it.
Sure. Well, what would be your advice for, or is that still you think the best method? I've never really used the Fizzum Flash. I ordered one for a stage production for a school. And so now I have one, and I've been thinking of different ways that I wanted to incorporate it. Would you say that the toe switch is still the best method, or okay?
Definitely, because it's a very small surface, and because I had it in my hand, I had to trigger it with my fingers, and I didn't always hit it. But if it's under your foot, you just put pressure on it and the whole surface is covered. So unless you can find a way to kind of put a button there or something so you can more easily feel where you should press and have it trigger each time, putting it in your shoe is the best method, I'd say.
So here, I'm going to get your opinion, and I'd love to get opinions from other magicians watching this. I am going to be conducting the broken wand ceremony for my first time ever, which I'm not even sure of all the details. I need to look it up. But a friend who he was elderly but passed away recently, and they've given me that honor. And while it's not by any means a performance, I actually thought that it would be kind of a really neat effect to, as when I break the wand, have a Fizzum Flash go off. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that's cheesy? Do you what would be your opinion of that? If you're at a funeral, but you know that most of the people there have nothing to do with magic, but they know that you're honoring this person as a magician.
I think it would be a nice thing to kind of lighten the mood, because funerals are a very sad thing, and if you can just not necessarily tell a joke, but just have something magical happen, it might help to just slightly lighten the mood, and just so people can kind of smile. And also the flash, it'll look very aesthetically pleasing, but it can also kind of have that message of it's their light leaving, and if you believe in souls, it can kind of be the soul of the wand. And
it would, and if it doesn't work, it's like nobody would know, because they wouldn't realize something's missing. But it's sort of like a subtlety of like, whoa, that was cool, like, wow, that was magical. And it's doing that, putting a little bit extra, and I know he would have appreciated it, and would, whether it worked or not, would love me for the fact that I tried to do that. Would probably, if it was up to him, he'd probably want me to just break into some card tricks and make it a whole magic show, because that's how much he loved magic, which is why I'm going to be doing this. But of course, that would be inappropriate. But yeah, I've been wanting to, since you brought up Fizzum Flash, I've been wanting to get some opinions on that before I go, because I have a couple weeks before I do that. If what someone would think, if I could see some people going like, oh, that's wrong. You should know. And they might think it's sacrilegious or something, but I feel like as a subtlety, just adding that little spark, would be really interesting. It's just coincidence that you happen to bring that up. Very interesting. I think that we've probably reached our time limit for the IBM show, but I'm gonna keep you around a little bit so that we can maybe talk a little bit more about some things, and maybe use some stuff for the after party. But I definitely look forward to seeing you in Pittsburgh very quickly. Are you attending? Are you doing anything in Pittsburgh?
I am going to be competing in the stage contest this year.
Ah, you're competing again. All right. Well, good luck to everyone else. Look out because she's back. Love it. I can't wait to see that. I wasn't sure if because sometimes after you win, you're brought back as a performer, but I believe that the rules are still if you're competing, you can't be a performer. I'm like they consider it a conflict of interest. I'm not sure. So I didn't know if you were brought back as one of the like stage acts in a show or if you were competing again. I always recommend competing whenever you can, of course.
Yeah.
So
Competitions are really great because they give you a deadline and it's an amazing way to try out new material. Because what better way to know if something works than to get feedback from a live audience before just going into a show and having the whole audience be disappointed.
So other than that, closing remarks, any other advice you'd give to anybody competing other than the ones that are competing against you in Pittsburgh? We're going to make sure they don't hear this, but any other advice you'd want to throw out there for someone considering putting together a competition act?
Find material that you love. It doesn't have to be something that you're good at, even if it's just something you want to try out. Just try and partake in as many competitions as you can because it gives you a deadline and a goal to work towards. Even if you don't win, it's fine. You still get feedback from the audience, and the feedback from the judges are always amazing. They always tell you how you can improve, what was good, what wasn't, and then you just work on that. And then once you've worked on it, take that act and compete again and see how you what happens that time. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, and then just keep working on it until you have a polished act that you're happy with, and then you can add it to a show. And that's what I usually do, and I think it's worked pretty good so far.
Yeah, I would say it's worked very well so far for you. Love it. So folks, I hope that you've enjoyed this and you'll get to see her in Pittsburgh. We can't wait to see her act on stage. This has been Anja Steyn, all the way from South Africa, here today on Something Up My Sleeve, and we're going to keep her around for a little while, but thank you so much for being here, Anja.
Thank you.
We don't think jack. We have no idea. I mean, no idea.
Hi, I'm David Parr. I imagine that some of you might know me from my appearances on the TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, or from my published works, Copycat, say, or Brain Food. But unless you've been hanging around the city of Chicago in the past 15 or 20 years, you might not have had a chance to see me perform in person. That is why I'm pleased to announce that I will be appearing at the IBM 2023 convention this July in Pittsburgh. I will be bringing with me some brand new material, some old favorites, and I'm looking forward to meeting and chatting with all of you. So I hope you'll join us in Pittsburgh. Hello? Oh, yes, I'll tell them. By the way, if you register for the convention early, you'll get a substantial discount on registration. So I highly recommend you go to this website, ibmconvention.com, and register right away. I'll see you in Pittsburgh this summer. Bye-bye-bye.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here with Eric Jones on location, actually. This is not CGI. I have him here with me in New Orleans, showing him a different view of New Orleans because we are in City Park right now, right next to Cafe du Monde, but not the touristy one where you can't get a table. We're in City Park Cafe du Monde, much nicer, quieter, except there's the sound of children playing. That's annoying. Nothing I can do.
Yeah.
But welcome to New Orleans.
I'm glad to be here.
He's just getting off a ship, and which is why I was so fortunate to have him here. And the first question, before we get into all of that, the first question I ask all my guests is, what is something up your sleeve? What makes you you? What do you bring to the table?
Something up my sleeve that I bring to the table. Just let me get a clarifying question before. I hate answering questions with questions, but are you talking more about like what is my style of magic, or
So in other words, what makes you you as a performer? Of like, why would I want Eric Jones at a show? What does he have up his sleeve, as opposed to just any other type of performance?
So what sets me apart from other performers? No idea. No idea.
I know the answer. You want me to give it to you?
I would love to hear what you think.
I have not seen a more fantastic wizard beard on anyone, honestly. So I would say that's
Chris
probably...
Ramsey has the best beard in the game.
That's true, and Eric Tate's beard is coming along very nicely. Yes, yes.
But
So,
I am giving them a run for their money.
so is that the secret to your magic powers?
Well, we'll find out when I cut it off. Whenever I find my chin again.
He cuts off his beard and starts dropping the coins everywhere.
For sure, for sure. What makes me different? You know, I was having a conversation with my manager, and he says what he feels like separates me from a lot of people is the fact that I'm approachable, I'm accessible. There's no pomp, there's no arrogance in my character. People walk away feeling like, I want to buy that guy a drink. I want you to date my sister. That's the kind of thing that they end up saying.
I was going to say that, but both my sisters are already married, unfortunately. Actually, I will back that up because I was gonna bring that up. In fact, the word that I would use to describe you, because I always try to like come up with one word to describe my guests, and I would say that word is smooth. And you are smooth off stage and on stage. And I would say, having met you off stage, originally, having met you in a situation where we didn't know each other, I wasn't like, saw you on stage starstruck like most of the people that know I'm here with you who are jealous. Not to embarrass you, but I think a lot of people are jealous of the fact that I get to spend this time with you. And I'm like, but that's not how I met him. But then I realized
where did we meet? Was that
believe
like at IBM?
I think it was 4F was the first.
4F,
I believe 4F first, and then we saw each other at other conventions, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was 4F.
I remember, I think it was your Physium Act that I saw.
That's when you first saw him?
Yeah,
What the
I think
fork?
so. Yeah. That's a heck of a routine.
Thank you.
There's a lot of work that goes into that.
Too much
That's
work,
a
which is
beat.
why I can't do it anymore, because I'd have to like relearn everything. Because people are like, "Can you do that act again?" Yeah, let me just give me a few weeks. And you know what goes into an intricate performance like that, because there's a lot, even though you can't tell, because that's where the smooth comes in. Eric never looks like he's doing something. It looks like it's just happening naturally, like the power does come from his beard. And off stage, you are this kind of the same character as you are on stage, and it is approachable. It is this nice guy that doesn't come across as like, "Hey, look at me, I'm gonna blow your mind." It's none of that. There's no cheesiness about it. And so I would definitely sum that up as, from the get-go, I've always said that guy is smooth.
I appreciate that. You know, one of the things that I started to think about early on was to create a really what do I want to say? I want to say that I'd like to have a definition for what magic should look like, and then recreate that with the props that I'm using. So I feel like magic should look effortless. And I think it was Curtis Cam who said one time that if a certain number of moves accomplishes the desired effect in the best way possible, you learn those moves regardless of the difficulty. And I've kind of taken that to heart, and I do small sequences of relatively difficult magic, and the goal is to, what did Doug Henning say? Something like practice until the difficult becomes easy and the easy beautiful, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Wow,
it's
if you're
probably
paraphrasing, I
that.
love it that way. So that's a beautiful quote. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's how sometimes people relate magicians to the opposite of magician and a juggler, where a juggler, you're seeing something beautiful,
It's
but you're
overt talent.
seeing the skill involved,
Yeah.
and a magician, you're not seeing the skill. The best thing we can do is hide the actual skill,
Exactly.
so that the magic is just happening, which is why I think your character comes across as approachable, because it's not presented in a way that it's you doing it. It's
Right.
Magic is happening in a lot of cases. It's happening in their hands.
That's what she said. So there is a lot of that, but I think that I have been absolutely blessed to have been surrounded by a group of mentors and friends who have each taught me something that's led me to where I am today. The smoothness that you're talking about is something that I attribute to several of my mentors, then guys like David Stone, Michael Rubenstein, David Roth, and what do they say? If I've seen further, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants.
Sure.
I pick little pieces of each of them and add a little bit of who I am to it to change it 1 degree to make it unique. Unique to me, and hopefully my audiences enjoy it as much. That's the only thing I can really hope for, to be honest.
I want to come back to more of your start and your history in magic, but to make sure we get this in, I am very interested, I'm sure others are as well, as to what is your current setup, because I think you're one of the few people I've met who are doing close-up magic on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Usually, the bigger ship, the bigger the show, you're seeing all these props and huge illusions. And I think it's very encouraging to people who may love sleight of hand, but think to themselves, well, I'm never going to be able to make a profession out of it because, how would I do that for people? Could you describe a little bit about your setup, the AV situation, the crowd size, where the cameras, all of that?
Yeah, so I'm performing mostly on the cruise ship in the Walt Disney Theater. The theater holds about 1,800 people.
Wow.
And I do that show times 4 because I do what's called a back to front. I do the last 3 days of one cruise, the first 4 days of another. So I repeat the shows, a total of 4 shows on each cruise, 2 adults, 2 family. So I'll just concentrate on the family shows. 1,800 seat theater between the mezzanine and the orchestra or whatever. I have a huge, I don't know the exact size, but it's a movie theater sized screen, and then they have smaller screens on the sides. I have a 2 camera setup, one on either side of the house, and have, of course, 2 cameramen to operate that. But I do a combination of stand-up magic without image magnification and of course, the 2 close-up cameras. But the way that I present magic is as if that camera was a person.
Sure.
So I'm looking directly into the lens of the camera as if I'm looking into someone's eyes. And what that does is when you see that on the huge screen, it feels like I'm speaking directly to every single person in the audience one-on-one. So they each are able to get that connection. And it's something that I don't see used often. The way I got that idea is I watched an old David Copperfield special. He was doing the floating rose, and there were a couple of moments where he looked at the camera to almost draw them in. And I liked that idea, and I hadn't seen it done anywhere else, but I figured if I just talk directly to the camera as if it were a person, then people would pay closer attention. And it's pretty awesome. It's one of my favorite things about it because I can now do something as small as double cross that Magic Smith sells or at your favorite magic dealer. If you're not familiar with it, it's you draw a little X on your hand and you have the person show their hands, they pick a hand, and then you're able to take the X off and it arrives on the palm of their hand. So it's an old Ashes trick, which is really cool. But I'm able to do something that small for 1,800 people, and you can get them to gasp in unison, which kind of makes you feel like a rock star. So it's pretty awesome. It's one of my favorite things on the planet. And then, like I said, I'm still able to do the stand-up magic, but having that nice mix gives the show a little bit of a really interesting dynamic. It's fun. But when you were saying something about the actual setup?
Yeah, I'll come back to that, but that's an example of something happening in their hands. And
Yeah.
I was going to point out that even though it's so small, even if you didn't see it on the camera, the reaction is,
yeah.
I think, what wins the entire crowd over, because that person that it's happening to, their reaction of the magic happening to them in their hands is so strong.
And that's the thing that Nate Leipzig used to do. Like, he was able to, for an audience even bigger than 1,800 people, he was able to hold a coin, and even though people can't see the action from 15 rows away, his pantomime and his acting skills were so great that it was able to telegraph all the way to the back of the house. So not having to work that hard, because I believe in working smart rather than hard, having the camera do all of that work for me is essential.
So how often are you working with the cameraman, or do you have a few rehearsals and then they pretty much have their choreography of knowing when they're going to zoom in and out?
I have extensive notes. And I also have video of what the show should look like from the camera's point of view. We do a couple of rehearsals, but I've got it set up so that they don't have to do much. Pretty much they set it up on the tripod, they move it into the next position. There are only 2 tricks in the entire show where the camera needs to be off the sticks, and one is for the X trick because I get a couple of really close shots, and there are a couple of jokes where I want the camera focused on my face. And then the trick that I use to full Penn and Teller, I like, again, for them to get nice and tight, so I prefer it off of the tripod and
that was
handheld.
coins, right?
Yes, a coin trick, yeah.
And your stand-up, when you talk about your stand-up portion, is that similar to what we saw you do on, say, America's Got Talent?
No, it's more traditional stand-up. Like I do the pom-pom stick.
Oh, really?
I've got a pretty cool handling for the pom-pom stick.
I did not know that.
Got some work
All
on the
right.
pom-pom stick. So there's that. I do.
You got a pom-pom right here.
Oh yeah. This is the original OG pom-pom.
I was showing him the little bit I have on the phone yesterday. I'm like, this compared to you makes me feel like the kid walking in the locker room who the last one to go through puberty, you know, but everyone else has got deep voice and you're like, I fit in, I have 3 arm hairs.
Well, we've got to play to our strengths. I grew it here because I couldn't grow
wow.
it here. So yeah, you've got the
Got this going.
But yeah, it's I forget what we were talking about.
Well, my next question was going to be about, because you're mainly known in the magic world, I would say, for coins. Yes, I mean other things, but
Yeah, I've gained a bit of a reputation for coin magic. Yeah.
Was that, for me, that was actually the first thing I learned from Bill Tarr's book, Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Yep.
The cards were too hard for me at 12 years old, but I was working on the coins. Now, I didn't pursue that. I pursued other angles of magic, and I do a few coin things, but was coins originally one of the first things you worked on, or did you kind of gradually become more of a coin magician?
Yeah, I definitely started off with coins, and I can't remember if it was Bill Tarr's book or if it was Edwin Sachs' Sleight of Hand. It was one of those 2 books that said the natural progression should be that you begin with coin magic, and that'll teach you how to palm, how to hold out naturally, how to do a few tricks. Then you go to cards to learn how to tell a story. And then from there you branch out to either stand-up magic or mentalism, and the progression happens from there. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll start with coin magic.
I don't remember reading that or hearing that ever, but it makes
it's
sense.
It's one in one of the 2 for sure. It's either in the Bill Tarr book or it's in Edwin
Interesting.
Sachs' Sleight of Hand.
But I kind of made that natural progression anyway.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
exactly what you're saying, even though I don't remember anybody saying that to me or reading it.
And
so.
most magicians do it the exact opposite. They start with
Most
cards.
would start with cards, I think, yeah.
And then they do a little bit of coin magic and
think it's
wonder why they
because,
have a horrible palm.
Everybody has an uncle who knows that one card trick.
Yep.
And so that's probably what starts them off like.
Yeah,
and
makes
usually
sense.
it's usually the 21 card trick that we have to sit through. Like I guarantee you, one of the kids in this park knows that 21 card trick, and we're gonna avoid that. We're gonna avoid that completely.
Actually, I'd really like to see it. To just
well,
grab a
you
kid
have
by
to
the
be
scruff
polite.
of the neck.
You have to like be polite and like even if they get by the time they go show the card, I don't even know anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, it's my card, you know, whatever. But you know what's funny is there's so much to remember there. It's weird to me that how did that one get circulated when it's much more complex when you think about the memorization behind it as opposed to some of the stuff that we do that we learned early on. It's so strange of like whose uncle started that 21 card trick, and why do we have to watch it over and over? Crazy, wacky, wild. I was going to suggest a new act for Fool Us. I don't know if you have any intention of going back.
Nope.
But so maybe I'll use this as this idea. I was going to try to get Eric some beignets from Cafe du Monde until I saw what he was wearing, and then I realized I'm not going to send him to the airport covered in powdered sugar. And then it dawned on me,
Because it won't
what
look
if?
like powdered sugar.
No, it won't. Yeah. Well, you said you learned from David Stone.
Yeah.
No.
Security will have questions.
Burn on David. Yeah, they might. Or maybe the security in New Orleans they go like, oh, powdered sugar, you're good. All right. But could I fool Penn and Teller if I was able to wear all black and eat a beignet without getting any powdered sugar on me? I could see Penn going like, I have no idea how you did that. Because nobody has achieved that. So that is achieving the impossible.
That is truly the impossible.
But he wisely said no to the beignets and also said no to crawfish, which I've had the crawfish 3 times this week. We were talking about crawfish, and I was trying to explain that it's not actually seafood.
Yeah, that's weird to me. But I guess you learn something every day. Tell them.
Well,
what
because
that's
crawfish
about.
generally, well, for the most part, it's in fields. It's fields like a pond, a field covered in water. And usually most of the fields are used for rice for half the year and then crawfish for the other half. So it's a great use of the field. So the same rice fields are just flooded with water, and crawfish build these little mud huts. So they just, and where I lived in New Iberia, we just have them in the yard. Like we didn't have a crawfish field.
Literally in your yard.
They were just in the ditches, in the yard. You'd go outside and you see all these tiny little mud huts. Kids would go by with their bikes and knock them over and everything. And so there were crawfish kind of everywhere. But the crawfish farmers specifically, put the crawfish in the field so that they can then farm them. And crawfish season depends on the crawfish. It's up to them how long they're going to last. So I'm hoping that it's a long season. But yeah, I'm kind of addicted. Love crawfish. And usually when someone comes to town, that's my go-to when it's crawfish season. Okay. But we have plenty of good stuff to eat here in town. You don't have to rely on the seafood at all. Ducks are great to eat as well. I don't know of those particular. Yeah, we got some ducks coming over to say hi. Isn't this place beautiful?
It's amazing.
It's and a part of New Orleans most people don't ever get the chance to see because they don't make it past Bourbon Street.
This is my first time past Bourbon Street. I've seen Bourbon Street 1,000 times, but yeah, this is pretty incredible.
So, two more things. Let's go back to your history because I wanted to give you a chance to tell us, like usually everyone asks you, how did you get your start in magic? You've talked a little bit about some of your mentorship, and then you started with coins.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the first time I walked into a magic shop. My father, who God rest his soul, he helped me find a magic shop by going through the yellow pages. You kids probably don't even know what that is. If it doesn't say Google, you've got no idea.
You're like, why is it yellow?
Yeah, right. So went through the yellow pages and found a magic shop. It's called Divine Magic and Novelties in Richmond, Virginia. It's owned by a guy named Hun Wu. Little guy who looks like Mr. Miyagi, probably another reference you kids have no idea.
Well, no, now Cobra Kai came out, so okay. Everybody should know who Mr. Miyagi is.
Okay, great. So he kind of looked like Mr. Miyagi from that, and he showed me a little trick with a jelly jar, and he had a dime and a penny. He put them inside, put the lid on, started shaking it, and said, "How much money's in here?" And I said, 11 cents, a dime and a penny. He says, "No, you're not paying attention." And when we turned around, there were 2 pennies. He took them out, showed them to me. I checked them out. He put them back inside, put the jar lid back on, shook them up. "How much was in there?" I said, 2 cents. He says, "No, you're not paying attention." He showed me there were 2 dimes. Took them out, showed them to me. Did the same thing again. "How much is in here?" I said, 20 cents. He says, "No, you're not paying attention." Showed me a dime and penny and then handed them to me. And my mind was blown. I went home, took out a few books from the library, trying to figure out how he did it, and I started clipping dimes and pennies between my fingers and figured he had to be switching them out as he put them into the jar and was hiding them. And then he showed me it was actually a trick called the dime and penny. And when I saw the little hat that fit on top of that dime, that was actually a shell of a penny, again, mind blown. And that was my start to wanting to learn coin magic.
Do you think that is part of the start for a lot of us? Because people always want to know, like, some people get a magic kit and then they learn some stuff and just put it aside. And others like us keep going, continue. The ducks want to say hi. We have to talk over the ducks now. These guys are quacked up. Do you think that part of it is we have to know how? That the intrigue of like,
I really didn't want to know how.
Okay.
My whole thing was I just want to be able to do that. I wanted to give that feeling to someone else the same way the feeling was offered to me. I had to learn the method in order to do that. So, if you learn the moves that accomplish the desired effect. And that was the start. Now, I do believe some people are like that they have to know how. And I was having a conversation years ago with my friend Garrett Thomas, and he says that there's 2 types of people. We're going back to the late, great Eugene Berger, who said there are many rooms in the House of Magic. But the really cool thing is there are 2 types of people. One is a collector of magic secrets. And a way to put that into perspective is if the Ring of Power, for instance, Frodo held the Ring of Power. Frodo was not a magical being. He was just a person who held a magical object. He had a secret. But if you were to give that same Ring of Power to someone like Gandalf, he could do absolute miracles. So I've always thought about it like that. The people who want to know how, they're more like Frodo. They're just keeping magical secrets. But those who really wield those powers can do miracles.
Just so you know, to all the other people walking around the park, I've been invisible until this moment. You've been able to see me, but they've been thinking you're talking to yourself because I've had my Ring of Power
It wouldn't
on.
be
So
the first time, bro. It wouldn't be the first time.
So I believe you have something to share with us with a deck of cards.
Oh, yeah. I've got this really cool deck of cards. Actually, in fact, I'm going to stand up because it's just easier for me.
All right.
So 2 cards, the Joker and the 5 of diamonds. What I'm going to do is I'll take the 5 and I'm going to place it here into the box. Sealed up, gone forever. The Joker is on the outside. I want you to watch not only the Joker, but also the 5, because the moment I snap my, oops, I'll do it again. I'll take the 5, place it into the box. The Joker's on the outside. Watch the 2, because the moment I snap my fingers, we get the 5 on the outside, and here on the inside is the Joker. Now that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But the problem is that the box fools you. You know, I hid one of the cards so you couldn't see the moment the magic happens. I deprived you of that. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave everything face up so that you can see it. All you have to do is keep your eyes not only on the Joker, but also on the 5. And if you watch closely, you might see the moment that the 2 cards trade places. Just something that's kind of cool.
That looks so good. And this is the third time I'm watching this, and it's looked just from any angle, it looks just as good. This is what I mean by smooth. That looked so smooth. It looks like pure magic. Absolutely love that.
Now here's the question, because this is for SYM or for IBM.
Yep.
IBM. Should I teach it?
Yeah, sure. It's up to you. We can always even use this. I tell you what, I'll do a quick close, and if we want, we can use that as an extra segment to get people to go to the website or anything like that.
Cool.
So I'll just really quick say thank you guys for watching. This is a wizard, if there ever was one, Eric Jones, and stick around or go to the IBM website so you can learn the secret of this amazing effect. I know I want to learn it.
It's fun.
Hello, friends of the IBM. My name is Paige Thompson. I'm coming to you backstage from the Chicago Magic Lounge, but I am so beyond excited to get to be a part of this amazing IBM convention that is coming up in beautiful Pittsburgh. It was such an honor to get to be a part of the virtual convention just a couple years ago. So to get to share my magic with you all live and in person will be amazing. And I will be doing both close-up and stage. So all the magic. Well, please, every one of you, go get registered right now. And I will see you all in Pittsburgh. Thank you. See you soon.
So 2 cards. We've got a 5 of diamonds and a Joker. What's going to happen is I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to place it here into the box. So it's lost forever. So remember, the 5's in the box. The Joker is on the outside. But the moment I snap my fingers, I get the 5 on the outside, and here inside of the box happens to be the Joker. Kind of a cool thing. I'm going to do it again.
Wait 1 second. Let me get absolute focus on this.
So fast.
Let's see here. Let's see the card real quick. It's gonna glare off of it is all.
I'll be in this area. I'll try to keep it tight.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 2 cards. We've got a 5 of diamonds. We've got a Joker. I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to place it into the box. There we go. It's lost forever. So remember, the 5's in the box. The Joker is on the outside. But if you watch closely, the moment I snap my fingers, let me do that again. I'll just do that part again. So if you watch closely, the moment I snap my, what the fuck? It's getting humid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's sticking to me. The moment I snap my fingers, come on, dang. The box is now trying to stick to me. But the moment I snap my fingers, the 5 comes outside of the box, and here inside would be the Joker. Now, I'm going to try that again, but this time I'm going to do it so that you can see everything. Remember, Joker and the 5. Watch closely. And that's it.
I can't believe how good it looks from different, like, it looks obviously great from that angle, but I'm standing right here.
Yeah, the whole thing can be done surrounded.
And you would think that I'd be able to see something I shouldn't, but I'm not seeing anything.
Every once in a while, there'll be a double, flash of a double lit.
Yeah.
But, so now, really quickly, because I know we're running out of battery, I'll do the explanation. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
So in order to do this trick, all you need is a duplicate card. You place a random card in between. It can be any card that you want. You turn that triple face up. And what I'm going to do is take the top card and I'm going to use it with my break under the double to slowly turn this card or this double face down. And I'll push off the top card. People are going to think this is the 5. It's actually the other joker. You switch those cards and you place what they believe to be the 5 into the box. And then as you go to push off, you're going to grab a break under the second card, turn the card face up and then face down. And now you're going to do a move called the Louis Simonoff flippant move, which looks like this. And what happens is you have a break under that card, and what will happen is you're going to drop the hand about 2 or 3 inches. The hand drops straight down. It doesn't go up and down, it just goes straight down. And as it descends, air is going to get under this double. You're going to open the fingers enough to allow the card to flip over and then land back on the pack. It's difficult to do slowly, then in slow motion it kind of looks like this. All right? You're going to want to open the fingers and close the fingers so that you can catch the card so that it doesn't flail around like that. So like that. So I open and close the fingers. So up to speed, it looks like that. Now what you want to avoid is avoid having the short side of the deck facing your audience, because when you do that, no matter how fast you do it, you're going to see the cards flip. But if you do that off to the side so that the profile of the card is facing the audience, it'll look a heck of a lot more deceptive. All right. So to add to that, if you were to take an object like a box and place it on the actual tips of the fingers here, here, and here, it creates a little air. So when the hand drops, this hand is going to fall faster than the speed of gravity, so that the hand falls faster than the box. So you're actually doing the flippant move, and then the box falls on top. So once more, up to speed, it'll look kind of like that. Then you place this card on top of the box, open the box to show the joker inside, flip both of these over, you can drop the box, and at that point you're going to push off to get a break under the top 3 cards, then flip all 3 of those cards to get ready for the next phase. So you're back in your initial situation. Now what you're going to do is take all 3 of those cards, you're going to thumb off the single joker, you've got your double here, and what you need to do is either be wearing a watch or some bracelets or a couple of rubber bands or have a long sleeve shirt, and you're going to place this double into your sleeve or those bracelets or the watch so that the cards are contacting 2 places, this area of the thumb and this area of the wrist, just like so. And that'll keep the double together. And all that's going to happen is this area of your hand is going to contact the card like so, and we'll slide that card onto the top of the deck. And this is a really cool move that can be done completely surrounded and as slow as you want. So it's kind of a cool thing. So that's it.
Beautiful. You can tell that you have lecture experience because that was a wonderful teaching job.
Oh, thank you.
I was like,
I appreciate it.
Smooth and step by step. I loved it. Oh, very cool. I'm going to work on that.
It's cool. And the color changing deck is a cooler looking routine, but it's just that moment is pretty cool too.
The colors and the color changing deck, you would just have the one card that you needed.
Yeah, just would need the other
a duplicate of the blue
card.
Yeah. I learned there's a color changing deck that I learned a long time ago. And it's weird how some things you never forget, and I never perform it, but yet I still remember like every part of it, like muscle memory. It's crazy. And then of course, the Chicago opener version I do really is just the card changing color, not the deck. But I do, and I end up doing a lot of color changes with that, with my Chicago opener.
I'd love to see it, but I'd also like to get out of this humidity.
Yeah, let's go get some breakfast. Yeah, all right. Looking good? Sweet, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and that's gonna be a wrap for this episode of Something Up My Sleeve.